I'm just doing a short video to show you the setup that you need before you do handmade watercolors. So the first thing you're going to need obviously is some pigment, finely powdered pigment. I'm going to use a red ochre that I foraged. You can buy pigments or you can forge them yourself. I will do another video about how I do this. You will need your watercolor medium that you use to mull your watercolor up with. I make my own and I put it in a bottle like this, a squeeze bottle with a little dropper tip, and I just leave it in the fridge. My medium has gum arabic powder, it has distilled water, it has honey, glycerin, clove oil, and ox gall in it. You will need some way to put some distilled water, spray a little bit of distilled water or drop a little distilled water on when you're mixing up your paint. I just use a little spray bottle. When you do this, you need to protect yourself. So you need a mask. Anytime you use anything that's in fine particle form, you need some sort of a mask. Obviously these are hard to come by now, but this is one that I've been using that I had already for this. It's a good idea if you're using anything toxic to wear gloves. I don't generally wear gloves when I make paint because I am using just ochres that are non-toxic. You are going to need a glass muller. I have two sizes. They have a flat frosted bottom. I prefer this smaller one. It's about 2.5 inches in diameter, mostly because I make a lot of paint from things that I've ground myself, and so the particles aren't that fine, and you have to do your final grinding on the mulling glass, and it's easier to do it if you have a smaller mulling surface. The bigger ones, obviously, if you buy really fine powder, or if you can get your pigment powder really fine, the bigger one is easy to use. You will need something to put your final watercolor in. Either these little plastic half pans, or they come in little quarter pans. They come in metal. People use seashells. You can hollow out a little thing in wood and make your own palettes. Then you also need, because you dry your watercolor in layers, you put just a partial layer in and you let it dry, and then you fill it up, daily or every other day. You need something to stick your leftover watercolor in that has a lid. So I have just these little, I either use syringes if I'm doing more pigment, or just these little covered jars are good. You will need some palette knives, something with a flat edge that allows you to scrape things into the middle as you're mulling. I usually have two so that I can scrape one off the other. And then you need your mulling surface. And mine, I had the local glass store make me a 12-inch square plate, glass 1/4 inch thick. I had them finish the edges so they're not sharp. This thing underneath, you need something underneath it to keep the glass plate from slipping. This is one of those rubbery shelf liners. And then I usually put a piece of paper underneath so I can see the color that I'm mulling. So that is how you start out. The next video will be actually mulling up some paint.